What happens when a New York mob boss, hardened by 25 years in prison, gets dropped into the middle of Oklahoma, with no crew, no connections, no respect, and a boss who secretly wants him dead? That's the world of Tulsa King. Created by Taylor Sheridan, the same mind behind Yellowstone, and starring the one and only Sylvester Stallone, this show is equal parts crime thriller, fish-out-of-water comedy, and a raw story about a man rebuilding everything he lost. Today we're breaking down every single episode of Season 1. Stay locked in, because this one gets wild. Our story opens inside a Pennsylvania prison. Dwight The General Manfredi has just finished a 25-year sentence, and he walks out of those gates with one thought on his mind: getting back to the life he sacrificed everything for. Dwight is a capo, a high-ranking officer, in the Invernizzi crime family out of New York. He kept his mouth shut for a quarter-century, took the fall for a murder that wasn't entirely his fault, and now he expects to be welcomed back as a hero. He heads straight to a swanky Long Island estate where the family has gathered. And right away, something feels off. The old Don, Pete Invernizzi, the man Dwight is godfather to, is frail and sickly. Pete's son, the arrogant and hot-headed Chicky Invernizzi, is now running things. And Chicky's first order of business? Sending Dwight, the man who bled for this family, far, far away. Chicky tells Dwight he's being sent to Tulsa, Oklahoma to open new territory. Dwight is blindsided. He pushes back hard, even throws a punch at another made man in the room. But it doesn't matter. The decision is final. Dwight The General Manfredi boards a plane to a state he's never set foot in, carrying nothing but his old-school pride and the crushing realization that the family he served may have never truly been his family at all. Dwight lands in Tulsa and immediately begins clashing with a world he doesn't understand. He doesn't know what a smartphone is. He doesn't understand why everyone calls him gangster. In his world, that word has a very specific meaning. His cab driver, a young man named Tyson Mitchell, tries to be professional, but Dwight is just too much to handle. On the way from the airport, Dwight notices something: a marijuana dispensary called the Higher Plane. He walks in, looks around, and immediately sees an opportunity. There are no mob crews controlling this territory, no protection rackets, nobody muscling in on the business. This is wide open country. He meets the dispensary owner, a nervous, awkward tech-savvy guy named Bodie, and right there, Dwight does what he does best. He offers Bodie his protection in exchange for a weekly cut of the profits. Bodie didn't exactly have a choice in the matter. Dwight also checks into the historic Mayo Hotel in downtown Tulsa, because even exiled mob bosses have standards, and later that night, he meets a sharp, funny woman named Stacy Beale at a bar. There's obvious chemistry between them, and the two end up spending the night together. It's one of the few genuinely warm moments in Dwight's first day in Tulsa. He doesn't know it yet, but this night is going to complicate everything. Here's where the show drops its first major twist. That woman Dwight slept with, Stacy Beale, is not just some stranger at a bar. She is an ATF agent, and she has just been assigned to investigate the very man she spent the night with. Meanwhile, back at the dispensary, Bodie is furious and bewildered. He had absolutely no problems before Dwight showed up, and now he's got a mob protection scheme running out of his store. And at the mall earlier in the day, someone spotted Dwight. A man who clearly recognized him immediately started making phone calls. The walls are already closing in before Dwight has even unpacked. The episode ends on a powerful image: Dwight standing on a Tulsa rooftop, reading an old letter from his estranged daughter Tina, and quietly declaring to the city skyline that Tulsa belongs to him now. It's equal parts defiant and heartbreaking. This man has lost his world and is now staking a claim on this alien one, whether it wants him or not. The General has arrived. Television Episode 2, Center of the Universe. With his first moves on the board, Dwight starts setting up his operation for real. He's hired Tyson as his personal driver, and he's already treating the young man like a soldier in his crew, for better or worse. Dwight keeps making his rounds through Tulsa, getting the lay of the land. One of the most important relationships he builds in these early episodes is with Mitch Keller, the owner of a bar called Bread 2 Buck. Mitch is a former rodeo star, ex-convict, and now a bartender, a man with his own complicated past who instantly recognizes something in Dwight that most people don't: integrity. These two tough, weathered men click almost immediately, and Bread 2 Buck becomes Dwight's unofficial headquarters. Meanwhile, Bodie is getting used to his new reality. He's now part of Dwight's crew, whether he likes it or not. In one of the show's best-running gags, Bodie keeps pointing out that all his problems started the moment Dwight walked into his dispensary. Dwight's response is always the same, a calm, unblinking stare that says, "I don't see the problem." Stacy Beale is in a nightmare situation. She slept with the subject of her investigation before she even knew who he was. Now she has to maintain professional distance while the ATF starts building a file on Dwight's activities in Tulsa. She tries to go back to normal life, going on dates, attempting to move on, but Dwight is magnetic in a way she can't fully shake. The chemistry between them is real, messy, and complicated by the fact that every conversation they have is, in some sense, also part of her investigation. What makes Stacy so compelling as a character is that she isn't naive. She knows exactly what Dwight is, knows exactly what the right thing to do is professionally, and is still drawn to him in a way she can't entirely explain. Meanwhile, Dwight is discovering more about the local criminal landscape. There's a motorcycle gang operating in the area, the Black McAdams, who control a lot of the street-level criminal activity in Tulsa. Dwight notes them but isn't worried yet. He's a New York capo. He's dealt with far scarier things than a biker club. Back in New York, things are shifting. Pete Invernizzi is sick, genuinely, seriously ill, and Chicky is tightening his grip on the family. Chicky is insecure in a way that makes him dangerous. He doesn't have Pete's old-school wisdom or Dwight's earned respect, and he knows it. He's surrounded by yes-men and enforces loyalty through fear rather than through admiration. Meanwhile, word begins to filter back to New York about what Dwight is doing in Tulsa. Not the detail yet, just the vague awareness that Manfredi is active. The family starts paying closer attention. Back in Tulsa, Dwight has a moment of vulnerability. He tries to reach out to his estranged daughter Tina, who grew up without him while he rotted in prison. It goes about as well as you'd expect. Tina has built her entire life around not needing her father, and she's not ready to let him back in. But Dwight is patient. He's waited 25 years. He can wait a little longer. The episode closes with Dwight more embedded in Tulsa than ever, and more isolated from everything he once knew.
Episode 3 delivers one of the season's most important reveals. Dwight has been noticing a man watching him, a familiar face from his old life, a guy named Armand Manny Truisi. Dwight assumes the worst. Chicky sent Manny to kill him, so Dwight gets there first. He corners Manny in his driveway one morning, gun pressed to his back, walks him inside, and demands answers. What follows is a genuinely shocking conversation. Manny wasn't sent to kill Dwight. In fact, it's the opposite. Manny thought Dwight was sent to kill him. Manny has been hiding in Tulsa since 1998, living a quiet suburban life with a wife and kids, desperately hoping the New York mob had forgotten about him. He'd been a nervous wreck from the moment he spotted Dwight in town. And then comes the real bomb. Manny tells Dwight that Pete Invernizzi set him up. The entire reason Dwight went to prison for 25 years was because Pete maneuvered it that way. They thought Dwight might flip during such a long sentence, so they built the situation to ensure he couldn't. Dwight absorbs this in silence. And then, in a move that perfectly encapsulates his character, he doesn't explode. He sits down, looks at Manny's family photos, and begins to think. While the existential revelations pile up, Dwight's entrepreneurial instincts never sleep. He learns about the Ogallala Land Music Festival, a major local event where thousands of Oklahomans gather. And he sees an opportunity: nitrous oxide, laughing gas, party balloons. No mob crew is running that territory, and the demand at a music festival is massive. He gets Mitch to covertly procure a supply through the bar, and he sends Tyson, Body, and a few other reluctant associates to set up and sell. The operation is scraped together from whatever human resources Dwight has, which at this point is a cab driver, a marijuana dispensary owner, couple of security guards, and his own terrifying force of will. It's chaotic and absurd and somehow completely believable that Dwight Manfredi would look at a country music festival and see a racket. This subplot also serves to start integrating the crew. Dwight begins to look at these people less as tools and more as soldiers. He's building something, even if none of them fully realizes it yet. The emotional gut punch of episode 3 comes when Dwight learns the full truth about what happened to his daughter Tina while he was in prison. A man named Nico Bugliosi, a made man in the Invernizzi family, had a relationship with Tina during Dwight's imprisonment. This relationship wasn't just inappropriate, it was predatory and abusive. It left Tina scarred in ways that go beyond what she's willing to talk about. And Dwight, hearing this, doesn't rage, he goes cold. There is something uniquely terrifying about watching Stallone's Dwight Manfredi go quiet with purpose. The rage is there, it's just being organized into something deliberate and surgical. He now has 2 personal scores to settle: the betrayal by Pitt's family, that stole 25 years of his life, and the abuse of his daughter by one of their men. Neither of these things is going to go unanswered. The episode ends with Dwight looking out at Tulsa and the viewer finally understanding, this man didn't just come here to build a criminal enterprise. He came here because he had nowhere else to go. And now that he's here, he's going to make it mean something.